Hi, everybody, and welcome to VAs Unplugged. I'm here today with Storm McManus and Susan Wilkin. And today, Storm and I are going to be chatting with Susan and asking her about her journey to becoming a VA, why she became a VA, why she looked at it, and why she's remained a VA all these years. So welcome, Susan, and welcome, Storm.
Hi.
All right. Storm, I'm going to hand over to you. You're going to interview Susan today, and I'm going to be putting in my tuppence worth when I feel like it. So over to you.
Sounds great. Thanks, Liz. Hi, Susan. How are you today?
Great. Thanks, Storm.
That's good. Where are you coming to us from today?
I'm on the Gold Coast in Queensland, so you know it's not as golden and sunny as it normally is, unfortunately.
Yeah, bit of rain about at the minute, isn't there?
A little bit too much.
Well, let's get right into it. As Liz said, we're here to talk about how you became a VA, what you like about being a VA, maybe some things you've learned along the way. But before you became a VA, what did you do?
Well, I was actually a stay-at-home mum, would you believe? So I had been a stay-at-home mum for about 3 years. So I've got three boys, not so young anymore. And at the time, Kane was 18 months old, Drew was almost 3. We'd just been through the GFC, so this is going back to 2009, 2010. Right. And of course, everything was a little bit tight. So for me, it was born out of a need of having too many young children to be able to afford that childcare to go back to work. So that was when I came up with the idea, after speaking with a few people, of becoming a VA.
Yeah, it's such an enticing career change to make, particularly when you're at home with young children. You don't want to miss out on the time that you have with them. They're only little once. So yeah, I definitely understand that. But what sort of skills did you bring from your previous career into working as a VA?
So I'd actually worked in admin roles pretty much all my life. I sort of started in reception, moved up to admin secretarial roles, everything from contracts, HR, training, all of those admin-based roles within those industries as well. So for me, I brought a lot of skills, but I didn't really know how to place them as services. So that was one thing that I sort of struggled with when I first began, was converting them into services, because I know what I can do, but it was applying them to what a client needs.
Did you find that process was slow going, or did you find that once you sort of upskilled yourself a wee bit, it went really quickly once you figured out what to do?
Yeah. So for me, my first 6 months was probably learning that business focus, learning how to sell my business and myself, and learning those processes to then put into place for a strong business. So I found my first year in business was, it took longer, I learned more in that first year in business than I had in the 15 years prior in industry.
Yeah, definitely. Because you're your own boss, aren't you? You have to make all of the decisions. And sometimes that's really cool, and sometimes that's a bit daunting if you're not quite sure if you're going to get that end result that you want. So totally understand that first year is pretty challenging.
And of course, back then, that just changed from the 2003 Word and Excel PowerPoint to the 2007, right? Yeah. Which was a new ribbon, 2007, 2010, which was a new ribbon system. So I had to actually teach myself a whole new Microsoft Office suite as well, to actually learn that as well.
So from that first year, have you found that your business has changed or evolved? Do you charge, or do you do different services, or do you do things differently since that first year or the first couple of years?
Dramatically. So when I first came into business, I sort of started as a bookkeeper. I'd actually just finished a bookkeeping certificate, and I actually thought it was the Cert 4, but it turns out then I thought it was a Cert 3. I've since found out it was a Diploma of Finance, so I'd actually gone over and above, which I didn't even know. But the government had just changed the bill. So you needed that certificate, you needed the 1,400 hours, plus you needed the all of this other stuff that went into being a bookkeeper and a BAS service provider. And I just, you know, 3 little young kids, I'm going, do I really want to do more study? Do I really want to go down that path? Do I really enjoy accounts?
Yeah,
And
true.
do I really enjoy doing that? And for me, it was not so much. And that was when I sort of changed my focus. So I sort of went down the general admin route. It was really tough because I am a jack of all trades. So I found it really tough to sort of decide what to sort of go down. So that was when I sort of upskilled myself. I learned email marketing. I learned, I sort of worked with some really great clients in the beginning. So I sort of learned how to update websites, learned how to get that strategic marketing happening, as well as the social media, along with, and of course now I've delved into webinars, online courses.
Yeah, it sounds like
you name it.
Done like a 360 almost, like from providing those sort of basic admin stuff to now
service.
It sounds like more strategic and more, I guess, services that are more popular or that online businesses require more of. Yeah, that sounds,
and of course,
yeah.
Liz would remember one of our first conversations. I think we had kids screaming in the background, you know, as you do with little ones. And she's going, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a mum. I just tell them off and I keep going, right?" And of course, you know, I just, that conversation of, I really don't know what to do. And, you know, what have I got? I've got data entry, I've got Word, I've got Excel, I've got PowerPoint. And she was the one that really helped guide and saying, well, you know, if you want to do more, you've got to upskill, you've got to learn it.
Yeah, you kind of almost have to back yourself, don't you? You kind of have to realize that you're the person that's running this, and if you don't put or invest time and effort into your own skills, how can you expect to charge premium prices to clients, which is where we all want to be at the end of the day, isn't it? Charging those top-notch prices.
And this is going back to before online courses were a thing. So this is going back to when it was really hard to, you know, it was TAFE or it was uni. It wasn't, these days there's so many online course platforms. There's so many online courses out there. So now it's a lot easier to actually upskill and rescale things to compared to when we kind of first started.
Yeah, exactly. And have you found that challenging, finding the time to upskill yourself as well as service your clients? Because there's double the time that you need to find in your day. How have you managed that?
Now I do. I find it a lot more difficulty. I find that I actually have to schedule that personal development time in. If I don't schedule that personal development time in, it's not going to happen.
And it's so important to recognize that you do need that personal development and upskilling to grow your business, isn't it? I mean, really, you need to put that time in. Do you celebrate any of your business successes in any special ways when you win a client or when you finish a project or something like that? Is there anything that you do that's unique to Adminaholics?
I should. I actually should. I don't really.
I know. But it's finding that time, isn't it? There we go.
Yeah, I suppose once I've sort of worked with a client for a certain amount of time, I, you know, you increase that money and book a holiday. But
yeah,
other than that, no, I don't. I can honestly say I don't. I sort of do a little dance and a little jig, but I don't sort of
bit of a fist pump,
you know.
On the phone?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
That's always fun.
Yeah. But I don't sort of, you know, go out to lunch or celebrate it in a big way.
But what's the most fun that you have had in your business? Is there any sort of moments that you can remember where you've had lots of fun with your business? Maybe website redesign, if that's your thing, or
Look,
I don't know, some kind of fun element.
Yeah. Look, I get a bit of a buzz from different things. So it really depends on what I'm actually doing. If I work with a client where we book workshops and stuff like that. So if we get a workshop or an in-house course, I get a big buzz from that, because it does take a bit to get that sales process across the line, and it does take that time as well. It can take that time as well to actually work with the client and get that happening. So I find that I get a bit of a buzz from that, and I really enjoy that process as well. But, you know, on a day-to-day, I just love doing different things
Background noise.
every day. Like, yeah, I love that every single day of mine is different. Like today I'm doing an interview. This afternoon I'm actually meeting up with a prospective client. Tomorrow is going to be different again. I think I'm doing some basic invoicing for a client. I've got some social media. I've got to get a newsletter out. I've got some social media scheduling for next week to get done. I just love that every single day is different.
Yeah. Some people might find that a bit daunting. Is there any sort of advice you would give to new VAs who might think that constant change and that constant different pace is a bit isn't really their thing? Is there any sort of, or if they're thinking about starting their own business, is there any sort of gem that you would share for new VAs?
Yeah, a lot of VAs sort of come in with that employee mindset, which I find is quite difficult. So they want to work with one client, they want to do 40 hours a week with that one client, and we know as VAs that that's not generally possible. And if it is, then there's other laws and regulations that come along with that as well. So by being able to stretch yourself between different clients, I find that I have a quota limit.
Yeah,
so I
definitely.
and it's switching your mindset between different clients, especially if your clients do different things. Like I focus mainly solely on trainers, authors and speakers, and they normally do something specialized, whether one is in finance, in they finance, they're a coach, they're sort of quite specialized in their area as well, and that key person of influence or that authority within their industry. So they're the person that most want to be like, kind of thing. I find that so I don't have a huge mindset change between each of them. However, it still is a mindset change, and it still is going, right, well, I need to think finance-wise this way. Now I need to think coach-wise. Now I need to think doctor-wise. Now I need to think, just different elements of it. But I find that the things that I do are very similar. So whether it's social media scheduling, it's those blog posts, it's the podcasts, it's the webinars, they're all very similar, and they're all along those marketing lines.
No, definitely.
But it is a juggling act. So I find that I've got to book in the time to actually get through the different things and make sure that I've got time in between for that mind shift change as well.
And you have to stay sane, don't you? You can't constantly be sitting at your computer for 8-9 hours of the day, what you might have done if you were working in an office. You do need to get up and move and start changing your working day to suit your lifestyle. And it sounds like you've hit the nail on the head with the way that you've obviously managing your home, your family, 3 active boys, and running a super successful business. So just remind us, Susan, how long have you been in business for?
I've actually been in business for 8 years now. So yeah, there's longevity, and my longest standing client is actually 7 years. Next longest standing, I think, is 6 years from memory. Yeah, so I do have that longevity with the clients as well. And, the best advice for new VAs as well is, give it a go. Find your quota of clients. I was going to say something then as well. It'll come to me.
That's fine. It always sort of floats out of your mind, doesn't it, as you're talking about something that you really want to share. I must share this.
Yeah.
Well, I've really enjoyed listening to your journey, Susan. I really have. I mean, to think that you started 8 years ago, bringing in some kind of skills that you had from your original career. You backed yourself, you upskilled, you found your niche, and now you're offering strategic services that coaches need, business entrepreneurials need to make their sales. I think it's wonderful. So I've really enjoyed listening to your story.
Oh, thanks, Storm. And I think, you know, finding that niche was something that really set my business off, and then creating those packages around that was something that really skyrocketed to the next level again. That was something that really rocketed my business, that I didn't even think about doing until I actually did it.
Yeah, and we've been talking offline about how that could be your next sort of webinar gem to share with VAs, is how to take your hourly business to a package-based business and get those big paying premium clients on board, because that's what we want to do, isn't it? We don't want to spend 8 hours charging hourly rates. We want to work smarter and better and faster.
Smarter.
Get some extra coins.
Smarter, not so hard.
Liz, was there anything that you wanted to say before we thank Susan for her time?
Look, I thought that was really enjoyable, and thank you, Susan, for giving us a great insight into your journey. And VAs Unplugged is all about the story. It's all about the stories behind the VAs and perhaps the clients that use VAs as well. So thank you for letting us into your business, and congratulations on being 8 years in business as well.
I know.
That's a real success story. I'd just be interested to know, over those 8 years, have you ever considered getting a full-time job, stopping what you do as a VA business owner and going back to work? Is it something that you considered over the years?
Only on school holidays while my kids are annoying the living daylights out of me. Look, I've been really privileged that my kids have never had to go into after school care, school holiday care, anything like that. Yes, I did childcare when they were younger, because that 2 to 3 days, I mean, that was my sanity when they were really young. But I developed it as my business grew. So as my client base grew, you know, I started off with 1 day a week in childcare, and then as my business grew, I had to get it up to that 3 days a week before the kids went off to school. And honestly, that was my sanity more than anything. And I was quite naughty and would go out to lunch with the girls and things like that, because
you can
have a chance. These days it's not like that. I definitely work full-time hours. Probably need to change that a little bit, but you know, I'm enjoying it while we can. So, and as with business, you know, those peaks and troughs as well, you need to run with those. So while it's busy, you run with it, and while it's quiet, you run with it as well, and enjoy that quieter pace too. But look, I've been really lucky that, you know, when the boys were younger and they would drive me crazy in school holidays, I'd go, right, you just need to be quiet. I need to make a couple of phone calls, okay? And then I'd absolutely lose it because it was just not going to happen. And I'd say, well, if you guys aren't going to behave yourself, then I'm going to have to put you in full-time childcare and after-school care because you're just driving me crazy. And then there's going to be no sleepovers and no friends coming over for play days. Anything like that. You can imagine it, right? It was louder than that too, by the way.
Never. That's leverage. Everyone needs leverage. Well, thanks for your time
so that
today.
Was probably the only time that I would threaten full time.
And I think you've hit the nail on the head. It does change your lifestyle. So it's more than a job. It's a lifestyle that you're investing in. And I think that's why we're all working from home as VAs and in this industry. So, and Storm, thank you for a great interview today and for interviewing Susan. It sounded fantastic and I really enjoyed it. So thanks, everyone.
No worries.